Free Skaro! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 967. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Morning, Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
We are recording this on Saturday, June 29th.
Happy Canada Day, almost.
Yeah, it's going to be Canada Day for us on Monday. It'll be a holiday. It will be July 4th for the Americans this week. It'll be July 4th, 4th of July for the Americans.
Liberation Day, I believe it is.
For the UK, the election.
Cue the Blake 7 music.
That's true. We'll warn that we'll be watching.
Bill Pullman's speech here.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
Here's the great thing about watching UK election coverage. Bear with us, British people. I know you're probably sick of this by now, but is that it starts at like 10 p.m. for you and goes all throughout the night. But for us, it's like Warren will turn it on like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, here we go. Like we'll watch it during our normal evening.
I'll watch it while I'm doing work.
Yeah, you would stay up all night and wait for the big exit poll. I don't remember who the BBC presenter is who covers it.
I don't either.
Hugh
But
somebody.
I'll tell you one thing. The other great thing about British elections is
Right.
Lord Binface and so forth.
I know.
just sitting there behind the commentator. It's beautiful.
His croissant cap is worth thinking about.
Just the goofy nonsense that they throw into British elections. I love it so much.
I know. I wish that we had like proper returning officers and like all the candidates have to stand up on the stage. So there's like Boris Johnson standing next to like Lord Binface, it's just perfectly normal. I miss
I don't remember
that. We should have got
which
that.
Blackadder series it was, but they did
Season
a great
3.
parody of it. Season 3. They did a fantastic parody of it.
That was my first exposure to British elections. Was Blackadder.
Yeah, same here actually.
Season
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
They, I have no idea what they were doing there, but now I know.
But it's remarkable how close it is.
Yep. Now I know. There you go. That's politics talk done for this episode of Radio Free Skaro from now.
What a debate. What a great debate that was. Moving on.
It's all Doctor Who and associated things. We'll be talking a little bit about season 1. Bit of a recap now that the dust has settled a little bit. Working some fluid links to this. It's not a full proper fluid links episode, but there will be some fluid links in here. A flood, yeah. In this episode later on when we talk about season 1, which will be pretty quick. But first, some breaking news. Not really actual breaking news, but the war between the land and the sea, the spin-off that has long been talked about / rumored. It's happening, kids. So we found 2 different sites. One has been bandied about. One I haven't seen anyone talk about, so that's why it's breaking news. But the war between the land and the sea, the 5-part spin-off, which is allegedly featuring the Sea Devils. That much has not been confirmed at all, but we just assume that it is, even though
why wouldn't it? Yeah.
The line of the line in question comes from a Doctor Who episode that does not feature Sea Devils at all. But there is one links in the show notes. There is a production website that lists a whole bunch of stuff that's starting production. Pretty handy little website. In fact, you want to find out when Blade Runner 2099 is shooting. It's shooting sometime this year.
Don't really.
Good Omens shooting as well. Hijack. I didn't know they're making another Hijack. I never watched the first one with Idris Elba on Apple TV+.
Oh, I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're making another one. So.
Probably cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and I just forgot about it. Way to go, Peak TV.
Probably does. But they list September 2024, the war between the land and the sea, bracket, Doctor Who spin-off, close bracket by Bad Wolf, starting in September. Which honestly, I think we've talked about, like, hey, they got a bunch of time now. Ncuti Gat was off doing a play, and everyone's sort of taking a break from Doctor Who. So this is the time to make the spin-offs that they're going to start making, and thus it begins.
Well, pre-production started in March, according to other stuff we found.
Yep.
So I have this. So that's 6-month pre-production lead time. I don't know if that's normal or not. Seems like a long time.
Well, Could be.
How much of that is shared resources between the two shows? Like there could be people working on one and then the other, right? So
maybe. But like things like, I mean, I have no idea if the scripts had all been written at that point, or pre-production just means, let's start in earnest for, directors and
locations,
and
permits, all sorts of below the line stuff you don't think about.
And then as Stephen will get to, it looks like there's only one person directing the whole of it.
There is.
So that's, you don't have to search for 5 different directors or whatever.
Well, it could be. So the what Chris is alluding to, the second part of this, which I haven't seen many people talk about, if anyone, on the agency website. We'll see how long this. Now that we talk about it, this is usually when agency websites pull stuff down. But Carolyn Perry Jones is a line producer on several different productions, including his Dark Materials, which is a Bad Wolf production, Discovery of Witches. Also, Carolyn Perry Jones is a line producer of it, and on her CV it says the director is Dylan Holmes Williams. He directed 73 Yards, the episode in question, which had the line originally in there, and also Dot and Bubble. And the producer is Eduardo Ferretti, who's an Italian-born producer, but has done a few. He's mostly a second assistant director, I think, in a lot of stuff, but has also been a producer on a couple other Bad Wolf productions. So it's listed as 5 times 1 hour fantasy drama. As opposed to an action drama. See, they also call Dark Materials and A Discovery of Witches fantasy drama, according to this thing as well. It's not a factual drama series or just a drama series. It's a fantasy drama series. So,
just as a very, very quick aside, recently we went through Fallout, the 8-episode Amazon Prime.
No spoilers, because I've only seen 2 episodes.
I never played any of the games. I knew nothing about it going in. I found it fun. Anyway, at least I didn't take note of anything other than the 8th episode, but directed by Wayne Yip.
Oh, cool.
So,
oh, wow. I didn't know. Oh, cool. That's cool. Wayne Yips is still getting work.
I haven't played the games, and I can tell you as a gamist, they hew very closely, and they do a very good job of production design and all the rest of it is very close to the games, and it's a benefit to the show too.
Yeah, I'm told by Kat, who has played whatever games, there is very much fan service in this show.
Oh yeah, but you're a perfect example of this. You haven't played the games and you still enjoyed it because it just adds, a verisimilitude to it. That's the way you do this kind of stuff. You just put it in the background and if you want to see it, it's there.
Right. No indication. So I do want to point out that even though it only says that Dylan Holmes Williams is there, it is potentially that he's the first director. He might be doing all 5. He might not be. There's another show on her CV, 1,000 Blows, which is 12 episodes, and it only lists 1 director. That could be true. It could just be the first director. So it's not written in stone that Dylan Holmes Williams is the only director. But
if you look at things like Good Omens, where Douglas McKinnon did all of it.
Yeah,
I mean it's hardly unheard of.
That's true. It's only 5 episodes, and
it could be set in very few locations too, right?
It could be.
Would make total sense for
and there's no indication who's writing it. Whether Russell T Davies decided to take it on himself or he portioned it off to someone to do it. But given the fact that it's 5 episodes and it might be one director doing it, there's a potential that it just might be one arcing storyline, which I'm intrigued by.
Could just be one direction.
Yeah. We might get to this when we talk about season 1 a little bit. I'm intrigued by the one overarching storyline as opposed to just sort of an anthology thing going on with this.
Do you imagine if it's like some sort of kitchen sink fantasy drama with Silurians and
on multicam videotape? Yeah. Here we go.
Multicam videotape, and it's just like some soap opera type thing, and
it's discovered in quotes from the 80s. They just pulled it out of your archives.
Mrs. Sea Devil is having arguments with Mrs. Silurian about the geraniums. The geraniums,
and it's all Monty Python voices.
How many times have I said to load the dishwasher properly? Yeah, it's just that's where the drama comes from. So who knows? We'll find out, I suppose, September, whether this is shot on location or mostly within the confines of the studio at Bad Wolf Studios. We'll find out. But
if it's underwater, then probably studio.
Imagine if there is neither any land nor any sea.
That would be hilarious.
What a
it's all in the
twist.
air.
There's always a twist at the end, as they've been known to say.
What if it's a musical? What if no, it's not. What if it is?
Oh, God. Can you imagine them singing?
What if it's a prequel?
There's always a twist at the end or the beginning.
I don't want prequels.
It could be a prequel setting up Doctor Who and the Silurians and Sea Devils and Pertwee.
Stop triggering Steven.
Don't do this.
No.
Don't we have enough prequels? We have enough prequels. We don't need to do prequels. For a time travel show, we don't need to do prequels, okay? Everything's a
Doctor
prequel.
has done very little in the way of prequels, and I'm fine with it.
Oh, God, it's so great.
The war between the land and the sea, The Acolyte.
The War Before the Land and the Sea would be a prequel, probably. Hopefully it won't be that. Anyway, September is when it's all happening. It's all kicking off to take full advantage of the Welsh autumn. So it'll look great outside, I guess. I don't know. No idea what the show's about, but director Dylan Holmes Williams, producer Eduardo Ferretti, about water probably, and sea and land. So there you go. That is the news. That is the breaking news of this episode. On to some season 1 chatter. Season 1, of course, concluded last week. My timeline has been full of memes of dogs riding TARDISes and people pointing at signs. That is basically the main reaction of the end of season 1.
And also a couple things of early episodes referencing dogs getting
I have not seen that. But, I'll take
the fake Beatles song, I Have a Dog.
Fake Beatles song, I Have a Dog.
Yes.
He's not dead, he is alive. And then also one of the Space Babies talking about...
right, okay, I have seen those.
The dog.
I didn't see the Space Babies one. What did they say about that?
I'd have to
one of the babies goes, that's a bad dog or something along those lines.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd have to find it again.
Is that clever? Or is it...
Is it reaching? And that's what the internet is, reaching most of the time.
That could be it, trying to find patterns to things that aren't there. I do want to just to launch a discussion point. This is it's a viewer poll from the Radio Times. I just want to bring up just to see how we jive with this with their ranking. So they did a poll of
there we go. Sorry, okay. I'm just going to jump in. Right. So I'm going to Mrs. Eric, who is this? Anyway, so I'm going to find the naughty doggo and tell him off.
So a baby knows about Sutek is what you're saying.
What
could it mean? Oh, wait, nothing.
Right, nothing. Before, all right.
Sorry, yes, poll.
Poll time, baby. According to the Radio Times, they did a poll from I don't know how many votes were tabulated, but they asked for them, and here's how they ranked things. I'm going to go from bottom to top. All right. Mm-hmm. With 37 votes, Space Babies was last.
Disagree.
People hated Space Babies. Number 7 with 127 votes, Empire of Death. I can see that.
Absolutely.
Here's where Warren is going to find Concord in this. 217 votes, The Devil's Chord.
Right to the bottom.
Right to the bottom for Warren.
Number 6.
Legend of Ruby Sunday is 5th with 374 votes. Dot and Bubble with 487 is 4th. 3rd is Rogue with 595. Then there's a big jump for the top 2. Boom is 2nd with 1,040 votes, and 73 yards was 1,290 votes. I never actually tried to rank. I'm tired of rankings these days, and I don't want to do it. But
I know I need to watch The Devil's Court again.
I don't,
just to see if I have changed my mind in the wake of the rest of the series. But given the echo chamber in which we live, mm-hmm. A lot of people rank Dot and Bubble as their favorite of the series. Yeah. So having it come forth here kind of surprises me a little bit.
I thought Rogue would be higher too. I don't personally think Rogue should be higher, but I feel it would be higher fan-wise than it is.
Rogue is probably still my favorite of the lot if I had to rank them.
It's fine, but it's not. It's just that its particular stew of flavors is not to my liking. That's just not really the show's fault. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I think Dot and Bubble will be up there for me. I know it was my favorite at the time. I think I wish that 73. I know that some people says, "Oh, this is what horror is like," though. You don't have to explain things. I think, it's lazy. It just
my number one boom, number two, 73 yards. So
I mean,
considering 73 yards, everything that happened, quote unquote, in 73 yards didn't happen. It kind of becomes more of a nothing story as a result.
I think you dig the vibes or you don't, and I dug the vibes. Basically, is what it boils down to. There are some definite. You don't think too hard about it in it, but I still dug it. So
I mean,
yeah,
like
much like Rogue, I was going on vibes basically, and those are the vibes I liked.
Millie Gibson gave a fantastic performance.
Yeah,
there was definitely the intrigue and the mystery and all that kind of stuff, which was I thought was really enjoyable. Even like unit being affected,
the years and years-iness of it I liked.
Yeah, like I'm not saying it's bad by any stretch. It's probably second or third in my list.
Yeah,
depends on how I feel about Boom, but or Dot and Bubble for that matter. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little surprised at it being the winner.
I'm surprised Space Babies is that low. Like it's just inoffensive silliness, like every other episode won.
I don't know. In just seeing the reaction of a lot of other people, they hated Space Babies,
but there's been so many other dumb quote unquote Doctor Who's.
Sure,
how's it any different?
Well, and this is kind of like so. Not that we're going to talk about stats, but on that Flix Patrol site that we cited a few times over the course of the season. They had, Doctor Who was never really in there in the top 10 at Disney Plus, and except for that first weekend when they had like 3 episodes drop, I guess, and that's probably what it meant. But it was Space Babies and The Devil's Cord, and then it was never in the top 10 again. And honestly, I look at it and go, did they choose the right 2 episodes to launch this season on Disney Plus? And I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, they did not do that. I think those are bad episodes to launch a show.
How many people watch those 2 episodes to get the top 10 ranking and then are like, oh,
what is this crap?
I don't know if I like this.
Right? I mean, out of context, like I had to think about it, because we on The Incomparable, which there's an episode that I'm on with Erica and Chip and Jason Sellon and our friend Annette Weerstra that's out this weekend as well, where we talk about season 1 as a whole, and how earlier in the season, before the season started, we did an episode saying where would new fans want to start, and we all sort of thought, you know what, this seems like a perfect place to start. Disney Plus era. It's not relying on anything in the past. Little did we know about the last episode. And now I kind of think, you know what, I don't know if I can tell people to go watch season 1 of Disney Plus, because I don't think it's a representative of how great Doctor Who can be.
And they get sandbagged at the end with this guy they know nothing about.
They do, but like I wouldn't show people. Yeah, Space Babies, that's Doctor Who. No, it's not actually. It is kind of dumb,
but it is.
But it isn't.
It is though.
It could be good though.
It is.
Is it though?
It being good and it being Doctor Who are 2 different things.
Yeah,
we should aim to be good. We should aim for being good, as opposed.
Of course, we should. But
let's
I'm just
see
saying
how crazy it can get. Like,
but saying this is some radical departure from Doctor Who, it isn't. There's been plenty of stupid, silly nonsense in Doctor Who. Come on.
Yeah. But
and the flip side to that is, if somebody sits down and watches Space Babies and Devil's Cord, maybe they're like, "This is the best stuff ever."
And then they see,
I'm totally on board.
And then there's 37 votes voting for Space Babies as the top story in season 1. Dead last by a long.
37 people can't be wrong.
37
I don't know.
in a row
voted
for Space Babies as the
It's interesting
number
how
one
low
story.
that vote is compared to everybody else. Like even Empire of Death, which got 127.
Yeah.
Empire of Death was just such a... But this is more me being a, first of all, Moffatist, but secondly, just more kind of like, oh, you let me down again, RTD, with the second part. Like I knew you were going to do, so that's part of it for me. And I don't know if you're just walking into this cold, then it's just an objective view that wasn't as good as the first part.
Right.
And I mean, given this is put on by the Radio Times, obviously there's the potential for a very broad audience, but
and also a British audience.
Also a British audience, yep.
Yeah. But you also have to wonder, like, so they got 4,000 votes. I don't know if that's a large or small number or what, but people like Doctor Who fans are going to have maybe the loudest opinions, and
You
they're
don't
gonna,
say.
they're gonna be, I would think anyway, the most likely to cast a ballot in this versus
Yeah,
Granny McGee in Hertfordshire, who doesn't give a toss about whatever.
Come get your tea. I'm just about to vote into Doctor Who.
True. And we haven't, haven't been such polls as I've seen anyway in the U.S. Like, rank the Disney Plus, but the overwhelming reaction to the end of Empire of Death, and the Ruby Sunday, and then the Empire of Death, which, oh man, I have seldom seen a season-ending RTD episode get as more or less universally lambasted. I was
surprised by that.
Yeah, like a lot of people hated that.
I think you're right insofar as like thinking back to say Last of the Time Lords or Journey's End or
End of Time Part 2.
End of Time Part 2 or whatever. I think the broader reaction to it was far more negative for Empire of Death than for any of those other ones.
Yeah. Like I have no idea, like we don't, as I said, we don't do stats anymore because they're irrelevant. But part of me does want to know what the AI was for these episodes.
Well, if you're asking for Disney Plus numbers, you're never going to get them.
No, you're never. No, Flix Patrol is as best you're going to get, and I ain't paying a lot of money a month to get those ones. So I just the free version allows you to look at yesterday and today.
And this is from the guy who joined a shipping tracking site to find out about missing episodes.
Right.
So when you say you're not paying for something.
Exactly. But the BBC defends the ratings anyway, because they do say that it's a top drama for under 35s this year, even though the overnight viewing figures are past. They're done.
Did they have any other dramas for under 35s?
That's a good point too. Like, what are they watching? What are the kids watching these days? Well, apparently they are watching Doctor Who, according to internal thing. As a BBC spokesperson told the Times, I think, that Doctor Who remains one of the most watched programs on iPlayer, and is the BBC's top drama for under 35s this year, making it one of the biggest programs for the demographics across all streamers and broadcasters, is what they said.
They just pulled some guy out of the 1930s to announce that.
Yeah, exactly. So
revive the announcer. He's just called the announcer in capital T, capital A.
It seems like every ratings based thing I see in a Google alert, number one is talking about, Doctor, worst ratings ever, dead
That's
in the
called
water,
clickbait, my friend.
Whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're doing it for the clicks. And number two, every single one of those is a link to YouTube.
Oh God, it's even worse. So some gape-mouthed idiot is talking about it. Wonderful. I need a GMI, a gape-mouthed idiot. That's my acronym from now on.
There we are, with a thumbnail indicating as such too.
Gabriel Idiot.
Yeah.
just to bring it back to Doctor Who.
Give him the first name. Yeah. So I don't know. It'd be intriguing to see what the kids say about it. But I know that the adults in the room didn't like the beginning and didn't like the end, as definitely as evidenced by that Radio Times poll, where the top 4 are the middle 4 episodes of the entire.
Yeah, how many
season.
under 35s are taking polls to begin with?
That's true.
I've kind of made that point already, but
yeah, I don't know how many are doing that, but
ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah,
I could go out Friday night with my friends, or I could take a poll on the Radio Times. Well, that sounds like more of a 53-year-old Warren thing to do than a 22-year-old fun kid thing to do.
I was watching. So in the wake of the Empire of Death, the Doctor Who YouTube channel has been releasing a bunch of stuff, a bunch of behind the scenes and whatnot, which wasn't part of Unleashed, or not that I remember seeing. Anyway, there's one. I think it was it the. They showed a bit of the table read for Empire of Death, focusing on the end of it with Ruby's mom and whatnot.
Right.
And every single thing RTD said was talking about, family this and family that, and I wanted to. Who cares about Sutek in the end? We got a bigger tale to tell with the family. Every time he said the word Ruby, you could substitute the word Rose, and it wouldn't change the context or tone of it.
I slag off actors sometimes, but you got to give them credit, because the best acting they ever do is at a table read where they have to pretend it isn't a dumb idea. Because it's presumably their first read through, right?
Yeah,
maybe not. Maybe they read it beforehand.
No,
they
I think
get
they're
the script
getting
ahead of time. I don't know.
No, I think they're getting it for the first time right then and there.
And they've got to contain their emotions. Say, that sounds dumb. Yeah. I gotta shut up about it.
What is this about? I'll just read along. I'll just read it. We'll fix it in post. We'll fix that bit later.
I'm making up my own behind the scenes lore here. But.
Yeah, I'd love to know the inside story from an actor at a read through. It's like what happens to those read throughs? Like, what if do you catch a bum line and go, this?
You're never going to get the real story from an actor. They're not going to jeopardize their position like that.
It would have to be off the record, of course, but
or when they retire or something.
Yeah. So anyway, that poll was interesting. It was a bit of a snapshot. I mean, we submitted some ideas for fluid links and stuff like that too. Do you want to hear some fluid links? Do you want to play fluid links, everyone?
Why the hell not?
Well, let's play fluid links.
Do you know what this is? Fluid link K57.
Ah, yes, of course, the fluid link.
What's a fluid link?
No idea.
Not an actual game show, but we are playing Fluid Links. So we asked for like season 1 specific stuff this past week, just for a few comments to chew over, essentially. Some of them were just sort of comments, not proper, like sort of just ratings and stuff like this. Just to get a general feel of what some people were saying. One of them was, this was an exceptional season, taking bits of old lore and reworking them to made something genuinely fresh and new and brave and interesting. A couple stories didn't land for me, but that's a hit rate I can live with. That's from Mr. Dale Smith on Mastodon. Another person said, Earl Grey Trekkie on Twitter said, was loving it until the finale fumbled. Still a good series. It's not perfect, but loads of fun, and the cast is killing it. I just hope for no more unsatisfying mysteries. That could sort of be a thing.
I get the impression that as you talked about with the Radio Times poll, with the middle episodes landing so high,
right?
That I think people like those would echo that result.
Yeah, that's kind of what the gist, I think, of what the comments were a little bit about all that. But this one,
I kind of agree. Yeah. Like, it was a season of Doctor Who. And we like to think back to the good ones, but there's every season's got some mehs and some really great.
Right.
The fact it's not counting Church on Ruby Road anyway. The fact it's 8 episodes means if you don't stick the landing, you don't have much else to save you. But the flip side is, if it's all going wrong, then at least it's brief.
Pessimistic, but practical.
That's true. That is true. I do want to read this too, just because I think it ties up with the Radio Times one. This is from Trevor Smith on Mastodon. My least favorite season since the show returned in 2005. Oof. Some great stories. Boom. 73 yards. Dot and bubble. With some of the very worst, Devil's Cord and Space Babies. The Doctor crying every week became tiresome and predictable. Shooting is a good actor who deserves much better scripts. And RTD still can't write a series ending. Listen, I can't argue with a lot of that.
I don't mind the crying part, but otherwise I'm kind of with him.
Yeah.
Except Space Babies I don't hate. It's just kind of there. It's fine.
It's fine. I don't know.
Yeah. I enjoyed Space Babies well enough.
Exactly. Well enough
for what it was.
The 2-word review right there. Well enough.
I mean, also, so something like that. Worst series since the show came back. Oh, but I really liked 3 of them. That's almost half.
That's true. Yeah, it's not the worst series since the show came back. There's no way in hell.
I think from a math perspective, anyway, you're probably going to take umbrage with season 3, perhaps, or maybe.
I'm not. I like season 3. I think that's I can't think of a worse season since the show came back. They all have, like I said before, goods and bads.
Okay, 11, whatever you want. Pick a number, right?
I get you. Yeah.
When you're saying I didn't like it, it's worse since it came back, but half of it was I really enjoyed. I mean, I opinions are opinions; they are what they are. But it just seems a little disingenuous.
No. What you got to do is you want to be a true fan. Is you got to go. I did like season 0.5. That's right, the 60th anniversary specials. Just go off about that.
Yeah.
And come up with some arbitrary, and then insist upon the arbitrary notation being official of what it's called, 0.5 or whatever.
Season 6B, worst season ever.
That was terrible, wasn't it? Season 6B, that fictitious season that never actually happened.
Yeah. Doesn't actually exist, but worst season ever.
Yellow fever and how to cure it. How dare they? Well, they didn't, so never mind. And probably for good reason.
Do not disparage yellow fever and how to cure it.
I think I might, just
That
based
is
on the title alone.
Greatest episode we've ever had.
Well, speaking of the aborted season, the aborted season 23.
Okay.
I do wonder, like in the wake of the specials, I do wonder, like, would I have liked Nightmare Fair more than the giggle?
Which was rank the best Toymaker episode? The one that exists, the one that mostly doesn't exist, and the one that was never made.
Well, Nightmare Fair was made as an audio, so you could
It was made as audio.
It was released as a Target book as well.
That's right, it was. It was written. Yeah, that's true.
I think I have the audio, but I've never listened to it. Classic Warren.
Yeah, it totally is. With David Bailey as the Toymaker. I'll tell you what, let's have some fun. Let's ask a couple questions here. Here's the first fluid link right here. It comes from Oscar Grouchos on Twitter.
Good name.
Which episode could have been expanded? This is from season 1. Which episode could have been expanded to provide a classic 2005 mid-season two-parter? 73 yards, honestly. I mean,
I guess, yeah. That's the only one I could think of.
yeah.
Because Boom's self-contained, Rogue is its own deal. I guess you could maybe stretch out Rogue into two. I don't think you should, but you could, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think Rogue would work.
73 yards or Dot and Bubble, I think.
Yeah, even Dot and Bubble kind of says what it needs to say, so that's why I didn't choose it. 73 yards is like the only one, and even then you probably shouldn't. It's better at being self-contained, but like otherwise the vibes kind of run out. But I don't know if any of these could, to be honest with you. Space babies.
So
more
Devil's
babies, they grow
Cord.
up.
Yeah.
For 73 yards, I mean, you could expand a little bit more on who the woman might be. You could expand a little bit more
But should
on,
you? You know?
we're theoretical here, Warren.
I know.
You could expand more on Roger Ap William or what life is like in 2046, or I mean, there are definitely places you could take it to extend it, but as you say, should you?
Same with Boom. You could go to part of that society again, right?
Boom is enough as it is.
I'm just saying you could go back to the setting again in a later episode or something, like they used to do in the earlier RTD seasons.
No,
I don't know. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying you could.
I don't know. Because if you do, I think... Like,
how long can you have someone standing on a landmine? You can't have that over 2 weeks, you know?
No, but even beyond that, if you just like go into like that world and like more into the war.
That's what I mean. Solve that problem, go to the next thing in that world.
And the company. And like the first thing that leaps to my mind would be something like the Ark, where you have a before and after
That's kind of what I'm going with here. Yeah.
Kind of thing. But even then, I don't know. So 73 yards definitely think is my answer.
Here's what you do. You take the Devil's Cord, you go, you know what? I should go see Susan. And you do a mini-sode, and you tease it, and you put it after Empire of Death. So you actually have Shooty visiting Susan at Totter's Lane in 1963 or whatever it is.
Sort of
Or 62. Yeah.
Or, well, I mean, you've got the memory TARDIS. You can just fire up iPlayer on that little screen and just watch it right there.
You could do that, yeah.
Honestly. I think 73 yards would have worked great because I think it happened to well. I mean, leaving aside the main problem with I had is that nothing was explained with what the woman was saying. I think that kind of horror plays better when tension is allowed to build up, and the tiny time frame of the 40 odd minute episode, plus it was taking place over 20 years. I feel like there wasn't enough built up. It's like they landed. Oh, there's a woman over there. And like nothing built up to it, and I think it needed more suspense and tension to it. I would have totally seen it.
You could have more of the weird town, like
you know,
I guess. But even that is a stretch, and this is the only one I could think of that really you maybe could possibly.
Yeah, I think so too. But maybe you could explain. Maybe you could build up what this woman is doing and why she's making these gestures and everything, which it turns out meant absolutely nothing. Next fluid link. Karina Johnson on Facebook asks, the one question no one seems to be asking, who picked up the master in the Toymaker's tooth at the end of the giggle? Was it Mrs. Flood? Was it Maestro? Was it the Harbinger? Was it?
I think this is something we'll have an answer to later.
Yeah, I believe you're
So
right.
it's nothing I've given any thought to.
I really hope it's not the master's wife brought back, and then John Sim is somehow brought back. And just no, please, God, no, don't do that.
Don't do that again, please.
Although, like I said, maybe they're grabbing the tooth and it's going in the potions, and that's already happened back in season whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that too. That's even more climbing up its own butt nonsense we don't need. But
I think given the resolution in End of Time with Mrs. Trefusis as a random nobody picking up the ring back then, I wouldn't be surprised if we had something comparable. Like, it's probably not going to be
could be some
big-
squatty for all we know.
Oh, it could be.
Maybe it's Ruby's mom somehow.
Maybe somebody kicked it. Maybe somebody ended up kicking it off the edge afterward. Who knows?
It could be a squatty who is actually going to be the new master, and then they put the ring on and all of this, or they take the tooth and it turns them into the master. It could be something stupid, like aim for something dumb.
The tooth was dropped. It was kicked over the edge. Jack picked it up and put into this bubbling jar of liquid.
He's back. He's amazingly uncancelled.
And he's going to grow another doctor, or another master, rather.
Just what the world needs.
Or a toy maker. Why not?
I mean, I think we've sort of established that RTD hasn't really learned that much from since leaving the show.
It's going to be disappointing no matter who it turns out to be.
He probably thinks there's going to be some crazy thing. Oh, it'll be a callback to the last.
And he'll explain at great length how wonderful it is, and I'll be like, all right, RTD, get it over with. Come on.
Yeah, could be.
The thing about Stephen Moffat is he would explain why things are wonderful, but he's Scottish, so you think, well, he might punch me.
That's true.
So,
there's a
so
slight,
you'd listen to him.
Yeah, there's a slight self-deprecating nature because of his Scottish.
Even though RTD is much
background.
taller and probably more intimidating physically, honestly.
I know.
Well, Moffat is, it's coming from me. Moffat is pretty tiny.
He's my height, so shut up.
Yeah,
There we go.
Compared to
Like I said, yeah.
compared to
Go to hell. Anyway.
next Fluid Link. It's a bit of a long one here, so bear with us. Shannon Patrick Sullivan, he of that Doctor Who website, which everyone uses on the internet, Brief History of Time, sent me this. It's a long one, so bear with me. One aspect of the 2024 season, which has informed a lot of the viewer reaction, is the fact that it consisted of only 8 episodes, not counting the Church and Ruby Road, resulting in only 1/4 of the episodes being written by somebody not named Russell T Davies, and the same portion also barely featuring Ncuti Gatwa at all. 8 episodes is a lot less than the 13 episodes enjoyed by Russell's first season back in 2005, but it was actually one of the episode counts being considered for that year as well. What do you think the 2005, so the Eccleston season, what do you think it would have looked like if it had only run for 8 episodes? Which stories and writers would have made the cut and which wouldn't? Would any of the running story arcs have been dropped or substantially altered? And along a similar vein, how do you think the 2024 season would have differed if it had run to 13 episodes? So what would season 1 look like with 8, and then had we had 5 extra episodes in the Disney?
I would love to say for series 1.
Okay.
I would love to say, let's get the hell rid of Aliens of London World War III.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Yeah.
But because there are TD scripts and RTD is a showrunner, and as we saw this season with him doing 6 of 8, 7 of 9. Hey,
I get it.
I suspect that Aliens of London World War III would not have been cut.
No.
And we would have lost something else.
We would have lost the long game. Which,
yeah, that was the first thing that sprang to mind is a long game would go because it's just kind of using the same sets. Although as a cost cutting measure, maybe you wouldn't, but it wouldn't. It would be additional stuff. So yeah, you probably would.
Yeah, I bet you. Well, let me think here.
It does also set up the Dalek stuff, kind of. So
yeah, I feel like Dalek would have happened still, but not Adam. I think the Adam thing would have been completely gone. I think
you're right about that.
If you do drop Aliens of London World War III, then Boomtown needs to go as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boomtown's gone.
Because they're all related.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't care if we only got those episodes because we wouldn't have seen Boomtown. So.
Yeah, you know what would have been tragic? When you think about like arcs and story, you know what episode like really doesn't actually add anything to it? Empty Child, Doctor Dances. Apart from Captain Jack, I guess, but they probably would have chopped that. Probably would have chopped probably the best 2-parter of the season.
Yeah,
just for 8 episodes, you know?
You probably wouldn't have gotten rid of End of the World. It's kind of what you wouldn't get rid of. You probably wouldn't get rid of End of the World.
End of the World would absolutely stay, but like we saw in Space Babies, the thrust of it with the Earth would probably have gotten shifted to a subplot in a different episode.
Yeah.
I would if there's a potential for losing the Moffat 2-parter, then Unquiet Dead probably on the chopping block as well.
Too.
Although I feel like that to establish the whole premise of the show, we can go forward and back in time. Unquiet Dead is pretty vital to outline that, you know?
But if you're writing only 8 episodes, you could do it in another story.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, you've got the past stuff with Dr. Dance's Empty Child, if that's left in.
Yeah, but if it's not...
Much later in the season, potentially, depending on how they reorder, if they reorder.
Yeah, we're also talking about 2 different... If they're coming into it with only 8 episodes, they're going to recalibrate it. Not even it's calibrating it because you don't have these other episodes, right? So we're thinking about this in reverse when actually, let's say RTD's only got 8 episodes. Well, I have to put this in here, this in here. You'd find these themes would go into other episodes because you'd have to.
Series 1, 2... Well, series 1 and 3 anyway. 4 as well, I guess. Like they all start off with future stuff, past stuff, present day stuff. Yeah. Like just this, here's a little snippet of all the stuff. We get that with 2024 as well. Because we have the past of the Beatles, we have present day, we have future. Well, we got the deep past with the butterfly
that's true, dinosaurs,
Wyoming or whatever dinosaur thing.
Yeah, they do it within the episode itself as opposed to spending a whole episode about it. Well, that was a cold open, wasn't it? No, it was after. It was
after. Right,
they didn't have a cold open for Space.
They didn't
Babes.
have right.
Yeah.
So I think RTD's scripts would have mostly, if not all, completely survived. Long Game and Boomtown are the possible exceptions.
Yeah.
I don't see him cutting the Slitheen 2-parter. I really don't. As much as I might want to.
Sadly.
No.
Yeah.
That's all an RTD thing. It's like, and to be fair, Moffat had his own little tropes that he would probably not cut either. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but they're definitely there. And probably Chibnall did too when you think about it.
Yeah.
The flip side then, so for 2024, man, I don't know what we could add if we're adding 5 more episodes.
Well, I say this on the Incomparable episode, is that, we have the opening 2-parter where we, let's face it, this is Ruby's first time in the TARDIS, and it's Space Babies and Devil's Cord. And then...
So the opening 2 episodes or the opening 2-parter?
2 episodes.
Okay. Just to clarify.
Yeah, but then Boom comes around, and like Ruby is like ready to sacrifice her life to save the Doctor, and you get the feeling that a lot of time has happened between the end of Devil's Cord and the beginning of Boom. And I
so
feel like
some adventures in there.
I feel like there's that relationship isn't even really earned. That's why 8 episodes kind of seems kind of short. I feel like we need to sort of like she's barely met the guy. I mean, like, I would die for you on this landmine. That's like this seems a little out of place.
We've seen that before with other Doctors. And
that's
what
true.
Have you, so,
yeah, it's true. But it I don't know. It jumped out at me. She seemed a lot more well versed in travel than any companion by episode 3, and I feel like you could cram a whole bunch of episodes into that gap right there. Plus we could learn meet.
Hey, Big Finish.
Yeah,
here's your chance.
Meet the 15th Doctor a little more too.
Long since been rubbing their hands together. Come on.
Yeah. That's where I think you could probably shove 5 episodes right in there. Right in there, you could have them. I think would be pretty much the best way to do it. I don't know about you two, what you think about that, but
I don't know. We're shoving all 5 in that gap, but
certainly at least
I'm
2.
having a hard time thinking of where else because everything is kind of streamlined now to the point where I'm just used to this, like getting 8 episodes of something, right? So I'm kind of like my brain has already been retrained for it, as opposed to 22 episodes in the 90s, which was perfectly normal at the time.
Yeah. It just felt, in a way, it felt like 8 episodes was too long for like an overall story arc for a whole season, but maybe not long enough for a, properly meeting a new Doctor and companion team, that by the end of it. We kind of need
one more 2-parter in here somewhere.
Yeah.
And not one of these existing ones, but a completely separate 2-parter.
Yeah. Not like the ending, like when Ruby parts of, oh wow, I guess she's going, and they're really trying to play up the emotion of this, even though it's only been 7 weeks. Like it didn't feel as earned, you know.
You throw an episode in that ties into kind of the prequel. I hate to use the term, but the prequel to the War Between the Land and the Sea. So that kind of sets that up so it's not out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of handy. I mean, that by the time
backdoor pilot.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
A Gary 7.
Yep. Hey, Terry Garr has never looked hotter than that. So come on.
I think that. I mean, just based on when they're shooting it and when season 2, I bet you maybe there's something in season 2 that ties into it, because I feel like that's when it's going to air.
I mean, kind of going back to the, the tooth question. That's just it. There's still lots of stuff that hasn't been addressed. Stuff we know
who's the boss
is going to be addressed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Who's the boss? What's happening with Mrs.
Angela
Flood?
or Tony, yeah.
Mrs. Flood stuff, I gather, is meant to be addressed in the Christmas in Joy to the World. Mm-hmm. But we'll see what actually happens.
I would bet it isn't. I would bet that's season 2 proper stuff.
Yeah, I feel like Moffat's not going to pick that up, and I think it's probably...
Yes, that's exactly it. Why would Moffat, unless RTD gets a co-writing credit, which he doesn't, that I've heard of.
No,
but yeah, why would Moffat pick up that aspect and write the script?
Also, most of the time, Christmas stuff is pretty much its own deal. Like, not always, obviously, but most of the time it is. Like, A Christmas Carol with some hinted stuff, which I don't remember. Maybe there is some hinted stuff in there from going on, but I don't think there is. Like, it's kind of its own self-contained thing, because you're finished Christmas dinner, you're half cut, and you're watching this, and you're probably grandpa who doesn't watch Doctor Who, right? So why would you?
The End of Time Part 1.
So exactly. So generally speaking, why would you add lore when you don't need to, right? Just make it its own thing, because it's not coming back till April or whatever anyway. So
you mean David Morrissey isn't actually the next Doctor?
Not going to be.
Shockingly so, yes.
Spoilers.
Although I was genuinely worried that he might be at the time.
I was worried for about 17 seconds, and then exactly. And then they looked at each other in the opening credit. No, he's not the Doctor. How long are they going to string this out for? He's not the next Doctor. Come on.
Yeah, well, they did it for 10 minutes or so.
That's true. I mean, it's the Joy to the World likely doesn't even have Ruby Sunday in it. It's probably just going to have.
No, I would. Well, no, Nicola Coughlin's
is the main
companion,
so to speak. Yeah. So there, there's. I don't think there's going to be any tie-in to.
To the weird, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the weird Mrs. Flood thing to camera, where it's going to be an absolute.
But then having her start season 2 by talking to camera and remind you of all this, whatever the hell it is, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe more than Joy to the World doing it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, let's do another fluid link. Here's a question from Michelle M. Smith 14 on Twitter. Season 3 with Nchudi is bringing back a classic series companion for the full season, and you get to choose who. Kind of like how Melanie Bush came back. Who do you bring back? Which classic series companion award? So Handles is off the table. I'm sorry.
Damn it. Unacceptable. He's there. He's in the memory TARDIS. Come on.
He's in the memory TARDIS. Which classic companion would you bring back? I think we do have to stipulate that they have to be a living person.
I was going to say, can you have recasting? Because you could have, I can't remember her name, the daughter of Elizabeth Sladen, who plays
Sadie Miller.
Smith.
Wow,
Sadie Miller.
What's the point then? I mean,
kind of cool she did, though.
I suppose so. I mean, they did it with David Bradley as the first Doctor. So.
On the other hand, do I want Sarah Jane Smith modernized? Not particularly. She's already been in the modern series. Just keep it as is, right?
Yeah. So, don't make Sarah Jane woke, Warren.
That's not what I was implying at all. I'm perfectly happy with her. She wrote for The Guardian in the 80s. I'm pretty sure she was woke at the time. So, drinking white wine as she hung out with K9 in the opening of...
Oh, yeah, it's totally a Guardian reading.
Actually, I don't know if she wrote for The Guardian. She just was reading The Guardian. I just assumed that this whole time.
She wrote for the Metropolitan.
Whoever the hell that is. Probably. That sounds like The Guardian, though.
Yeah. We already got some of this in the afore alluded to Sarah Jane Adventures, but Joe Grant, at least Katie Manning's still with us.
That's true.
Leela, I'd love to have Time Lord Leela hanging out, even though I guess she's been destroyed somehow. So I guess it doesn't work with the story. But it'd be kind of cool to have her though.
I got that a little bit with the Blu-ray trailer.
That's what I mean. I would like to have a continuation of that, where he rescues her or something, and she becomes like maybe for 2 episodes, and then she sacrifices herself with the time.
Okay, so I don't know if this is going to be too tedious or not, but if we kind of go through and if we kind of go through in order,
so yes, just like mine.
If we go through in order, and kind of like yay or nay and short list. So, Susan, I think we could have Susan back.
I would not be surprised if they did that.
Yeah.
Ian Barbara, yes or no?
Well, no, they're no longer with us, so no.
Yeah.
What doesn't matter? They can recast, like you say.
You
David
could have
Bradley.
the Adventure in Space and Time people.
I'd lead against the.
You can have
The
Julian
show's done now
Glover's-
with David Bradley, so there
You
you
can have
go.
Julian Glover's son.
I would. I don't know if I would do that. Just because I think that the great thing about bringing Mel back is we had like, oh, what have you been doing since I left you with Saddle-On Glitz in 1987? You know, it's like we have that history. Whereas
And
now
we had that with Ace.
it would just be Ian as like, oh, I just left you 5 minutes ago.
Bring
in
back
London,
Grace. You
1965.
commented on the TV movie. Bring back Grace. What
Well,
the hell?
Oh yeah, Grace.
Well, actually, I didn't. Going to the far end of that line.
For some
But I
reason,
mean,
that's the one that is like the most fraught with copyright issues. Is bringing back Grace.
But forgetting about that, like if
Yeah.
you're just going to bring back, and you're with your arbitrary rules that we kind of cut us off at the 80s, basically,
Yeah.
more or less.
For Ian, I mean, we know that they've talked of him a little bit, but so between Cole Hill, Headmaster, and his appearance in Power of the Doctor, or whatever else, the fact he didn't age, there's been talk of Ian, so I think I would rule out him and Barbara both.
Yeah, I would rule him out just because
Vicky, would he pick her up from?
Nobody
Ancient
knows who
Greece?
the hell
She's
Vicky is
happy.
except weirdos like us.
Yeah, she's like farming in like ancient Greece. I'm like,
Should we also? I wonder if we should just like right off the top, anyone who's featured in the Blu-ray trailers
Or the memory TARDIS.
take them out of the running. So I mean that would lose Vicky
Most
and
of them.
Ace and
Most of them.
Yeah.
and
plus, we've already had Tegan and Ace in Power of the Doctor.
Exactly,
So I'm kind of like
yeah.
taking them
How about
off the
Nissa?
table.
Bring Nissa back, even
Nissa
though
back.
she got sick of that plague ship.
Perry.
well, no, see, Nissa and Tegan are an item. They've already
Oh,
been.
that's true, yeah.
That's already been explored.
It's true. You know what? I poo-pooed your handles thing, and I know we're not sticking rigidly to the classics, but let's face it.
No handles.
Modern Who is 20 years old next year. What about Martha? What about Martha again?
That'd be great. Give her some payback for the
Right?
jerking around she got in the original.
Exactly. Like I would.
Time to bring back Adam.
No,
Absolutely not.
because Adam's
Shoot him
terrible,
out of a cannon.
and the actor who played him is very problematic. So we don't
Adam
speak. of
Adam is the kind of character I could see just going, "Hey, Dot and Bubble, I'm going to move there."
Yeah, exactly.
He just strikes me as that kind of guy.
How about okay? I know this isn't the question, but how about would-be companions? So let's even include new series. So like, what's your face from God Complex, for example, or Ray from Delta and the Bannermen, or
Right.
What's her name from Stones of Blood? And you'd need to recast, but that'd be kind of cool to have this young doctor and this old lady. That'd be kind of neat.
Amelia Rumford.
Yes, there
I
you
think
go.
I would love Ncuti Gatwa's doctor with an older companion because he's so full of like. Honestly, that's where Susan would come in handy. That would be kind of the coolest thing about how this young black guy has the septuagenarian woman who's his granddaughter rather. That would be kind of hilarious actually.
But it has to be Carol Ann Ford.
Has to be. You don't. Yeah, exactly. I mean, she's like in her 80s now, probably. So.
Lala Ward, who's just done with everything. Which again, the Time Lord thing.
Happy
so.
birthday, Lala Ward. Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday.
That's true.
Yeah.
I kind of like Martha Jones or Susan.
Yeah, I think that's the best one so far.
Yeah, I think it's who I mean, obviously K9, but he could be a doctor. He could be companion to anyone.
Oh, he's in the memory TARDIS somewhere, so.
He is. His head is mounted on a wall, for God's sake. Like they've hunted him. His head is on the wall.
That's Mark 6, where where he went feral and they had to take him down.
So we haven't talked about
He had rabies. K9
Exactly.
Mark 6 had
just spitting out
rabies.
ones and zeros out of his mouth. Blah. Like all those paper ticker tapes are coming out of his mouth because he's foaming.
so two people that haven't been brought up in the Blu-ray trailers or whatever.
Right.
To maybe consider Liz Shaw and Perry.
I'd love for Liz Shaw to get justice.
Yeah. Again, you have to recast.
Of course.
Just think like a physicist.
Yeah.
Perry, not bad. Do not bring back Rose. Do not do that.
They've pretty much done that with
do that.
Ruby Sunday. I mean, it's
I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the original run of the
story of a girl and her family issues and her mother and whatever.
Yeah, we kind of done that.
Like I said before, in that behind the scenes thing, a substitute Rose for Ruby.
Exactly.
And
History doesn't repeat; it rhymes. So yeah.
Well, she doesn't have a crappy boyfriend, so I'll give her that.
That's true. That's true. There we go. Well,
Maybe we
she's
just
obviously
haven't met him yet.
exactly. She's a perfectly distinct character.
Speaking of actors who have become problematic.
Exactly. Anyway, next fluid link. Here, this could be a quick one. Historical Cook on Twitter asks, do you think RTD would have been better showrunning and drumming up enthusiasm for the series, leaving the writing to others but outlining an overall story arc?
Yeah.
Nope.
Next fluid
No.
link.
Wow. No. Chris says no. Interesting.
Interesting. Okay.
I say no because I don't think he could separate one from the other. I think he'd be. I don't think he could be a JNT. I think he needs to be an RTD. Insofar as he's running the show, but he's also writing, whatever proportion of the episodes, versus a JNT who's just like, actual just producer running things from behind the scenes. Obviously JNT had a lot of input in any number of aspects of the classic series.
Right.
But no, I don't see RTD even. I don't even remotely consider the possibility he could be that hands off.
Oh God, no, absolutely
There's
not.
two ways to look at this too. Like aesthetically, yes, I would like to have more different writers, preferably a bunch of younger writers too.
Yes.
But in terms of, and speaking of JNT, they kind of gave him the show to let it die, and it was the opposite for RTD. RTD came back to keep the show from more or less dying, really.
Yeah.
So
Just
if
for
you're
this one time, Rose, everybody lives.
So if you're RTD going to Disney saying, hey, I'm going to do all this, as opposed to, and here's some people we've never heard of. Like, I understand, I don't particularly like it, but I understand why that would be a better sales pitch. So looking at it from a pure businessy, streaming-y kind of point, that's what it works out to be.
RTD Dallas had any number of meetings with Disney, but I wonder who went to Disney first, or did Disney go to the BBC?
I think the BBC sought out Disney amongst others.
Yeah, I think so.
But it would be somebody like in the BBC executive hierarchy somewhere. Like it's not going to be the production company. It's not going to be Julie or Jane or Russell.
Well, RTD spent time, and so did they, in LA. So maybe they got to know people, and then so that's how it happened. I would think it would be more that end of things than anything else.
I don't know. No, BBC had them all set up, and maybe the BBC had it set up saying, "Hey, listen, do you want to take on Doctor Who? We got the perfect person who we're going to ask to run it. It's Russell T Davies."
Yeah,
maybe.
But I guess to go back to the question itself, I mean, the whole point of hiring RTD, Moffat, or Chibnall is because they are very, very established writers. They're going to write whatever more than half proportion of the stories. Like that's why you have them in the first place.
Here's a bunch of writers you never heard of. You want to buy this, Disney? Like, they
Otherwise,
should, but they probably wouldn't have.
Otherwise, your showrunners should be, Gardner and Tranter, something like that.
I mean, he kind of did that with some other, like the spin-offs, like Torchwood Miracle Day, for instance, had an overall arc, and then he sort of like divvied out, here, Jane Espenson, you write this one, and here, James Brand, you write, that sort of thing. So he can do it. He can do it, and I don't think his ego allows him to step back that much when it comes to Doctor Who proper, especially for a first season. Like maybe he thought, like, we need to kick the door out of this and just have an established, united presence and
also
tale to tell.
Also with that, like when Doctor Who came back the first time, the showrunner thing was a thing, but nothing like it is now. And so him coming back, like he's got his own interior to television star wattage that say Jane Tranter wouldn't, which is that's unfair because she's probably a great producer. Clearly she is. She's making this high-end TV show, but the, ephemeral star wattage of RTD as opposed to somebody else does lend it, that adds to the deal, right?
So just to go back to what you were saying, Stephen, because I couldn't remember what number he wrote. So for Miracle Day, RTD wrote one episode and then co-credit with Jane Espenson. So he wrote, or is credited as writing the opener, and then co-credited with Espenson on the finale. Wow. Everything else in between was John Shaban,
Doris Egan, I think was in there.
Doris Egan, Ryan Scott, John Fay. So Miracle Day obviously is or Torchwood in general, rather, is something that RTD created. I would wonder, though, if back in the day, the fact he wrote 1.5 out of 10 was probably not his choice.
Yeah, maybe it was a Stars thing. It's like, hey, we've got all these writers lined up. We're going to use them. This is where is where our money comes in. We get to choose our runners, or maybe
less pullback then.
Yeah.
Or we want more as an American show, American co-production. We want more American writers on it, or maybe that's a WGA thing. Probably not. I don't know, but yeah. So I mean, technically, yes, there is precedent for him being more hands off with that, but like I said, I don't know that it's that it would have been his decision in the first place.
No.
Also, if you're talking about the BBC, who else besides Moffat, and there's probably a couple others I don't know, has that kind of pull in England as far as TV goes? I
mean, look at some of the writers that Doctor Who has gotten over the years that have been showrunners in their own right. So,
Peter Harness,
Neil Cross, Peter
Harness. Yeah. So the the caliber of people the Doctor, or some people the Doctor Who has gotten over the years, is very high. Like there's a high bar to clear.
We're also looking at this through the narrow vision of Doctor Who. Like the woman who did Gentleman Jack, I think she's celebrated as a showrunner for that kind of show. I just don't watch that kind of show, so I don't really know about her. But I remember reading an article about her and about how a big deal she was.
Even this season, what's her name? Kate, who showran Loki.
Yeah,
right. Yes.
Kate Herron.
Good point.
Well, she was executive producer. I don't think she was showrunner, but she was.
She directed a bunch of it.
She directed a bunch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still, that's nothing to cry about.
But she had a big hand in the creative direction of a major Marvel show. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, given how Marvel keep puppet mans everybody.
Yeah.
that in and of itself pretty impressive.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, at some point, there has to be a succession plan. We can't just keep rotating through the same three,
like I said before,
60-year-old white guys to run.
Bring a 30-year-old wonderkind in. I don't care who. Somebody's gonna make it different. Do I like it? Doesn't matter. Just bring somebody new in.
Yeah, and certainly. I mean, I like watching the writing. I don't. There's been we've been watching Star Wars: The Acolyte. No spoilers, but like it's sort of overall seen by, I can't remember her name, but she did
Leslie Headland. I believe
that's the one. Yeah. But she's I think she's written like one episode, maybe two, but like she's probably like outlined the whole plot and storyline.
She did Russian Doll, right? Or Poker Face? One of the two. I can't remember.
Russian Doll. And, and there's been different writers, and that happens for lots of other shows too, I suppose, too. So, I mean, there is a space for it. There is, I think sometimes people, the people who run Doctor Who, that being Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat and Chris Chibnall, always say, Doctor Who is the toughest show to write for. And I'm sure it probably is. Is it as tough for them to have to take over every single script, though? Can there be...
No, I'm sure there's no drought of talent in England or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
No, but by the same token, they're still gonna. So back in the day, we talk about like, for lack of a better word, the untouchables, like people who in their contract would get basically final edit on their script.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
or they had complete control. RTD couldn't alter whatever. So like Moffat, for example, but
Gatiss pretty much had that, I think, in the Moffat.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was trying to think about it.
But in general, and obviously Chibnall did a lot of this as well. Just like that showrunner is in general gonna take a red pen and do the final polish on any script,
which I'm sure happens in the Acolyte and the shows that we mentioned also.
Oh, I'm sure it happens everywhere. Yeah, absolutely. It can't. I don't think it can't happen.
Mm-hmm. Like The Simpsons couldn't get notes. That was in their rules, and he still got notes somehow. People find ways to sneak that stuff in.
Yeah, but those notes from Fox. It doesn't mean you're not getting notes from Jim Brooks or Sam Simon or whatever. So
that's where the 24 different executive producer credits come in,
or Matt Groening
one writing credit.
In fact, Matt Groening's a perfect example. There are certain tropes he didn't like, so they just didn't happen after a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Except for, when his attention was distracted by Futurama or something.
Exactly.
And then the Simpsons writers got away with murder. So
exactly.
Okay, it's good news. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he's great at publicity, I think.
And I'm still looking forward to season 2. I'm still looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
Not think no. It's definitely not. He is very good at publicity. He is a hell of a producer.
Exceptional at that,
exceptional champion for the show. And I would never ever take that away from him, but yeah, still his writing.
Yep.
Which we all feared going into this season. Anyway,
on the other hand, we have new Doctor Who.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
So, I mean,
we do have new Doctor Who, but you're right, Chris. We were kind of like, well, he's back. How much is he going to learn?
For good and ill.
Yep. And we were excited about the spectacle of it, and we got that, and we got just the publicity push, and we got that.
Even beyond that, with the almost 15-year gap, he, as we've said before, he had gone on to do Years and Years, and It's a Sin, and Cucumber, all that kind of stuff. Like he's done a lot of really good, really high profile, really well received stuff. How much did he learn from that, and how much of that learning would he bring to Doctor Who?
Yeah,
and I don't doubt he's learned a lot, but I don't know that he brought any of that learning back to the show.
No.
On the other hand, unlike Star Wars and Star Trek, where it's just kind of a given they're going to make more of this crap, the show existing is a minor miracle every time it shows up. Like, part of that is our own Doctor Who pessimism from years and decades gone by, but part of it is how the hell is this still a show on Disney Plus? What is going on here?
It's amazing. What do you think about it? Like, we're in the 14th numbering controversies aside. We are in the 14th season
and 20th year coming up.
20th year of a show,
the new version of the show.
I like that. It's just
it's unprecedented insanity.
Yeah, it's become default that you're making Doctor Who. Well, good luck, because you're making it for the rest of your life now. It's just like, okay, like Doctor Who is just gonna be an ongoing thing. It just feels like the default status is to never ever be canceled and never stop. It'll take occasional longer breaks here and there, but like still going on. Still going on.
I'd like to think that anyway.
Yeah.
Because of the nature of the show and having the character, the lead character actor being changeable from the 4th season onward, there's no reason it can't exist. It's a question of, does anyone want to keep making it? And so far so good, but obviously we're still waiting on the season 3 commission.
That's true. That's true.
There'll be times the zeitgeist doesn't want it, and then that's just the way it is until it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, now that it's sort of dependent on the Disney Plus go ahead for,
and other shows are no different.
A new season.
People didn't have Star Trek for 10 years or however long it was. The gap was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to think that there's at least a decent probability that if Disney hadn't gotten involved, that the BBC wouldn't be doing this strictly on their own.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right about that.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that would include or exclude Bad Wolf. But
I think this is the longest answer, actually, for the one you thought was going to be quick.
No.
Oh yeah, big time. This is a much more involved discussion than expected.
That's true. What I mean,
like all good fluid links, we're not going to solve anything.
No, absolutely nothing.
Not at all. No. One thing that I would like, I mean, this is kind of aside it, but just sort of about the writing thing, is that now they're into 8 episode seasons. My dream in a way, it would be an interesting experiment where we mentioned about how like maybe the war between the land and the sea is just one overarching plot because it's only 5 episodes. I think maybe we're at that point with Doctor Who, but what I would enjoy a non-flux, as in like blowing up the entire universe, and also we have to deal with COVID.
Lower stakes.
Lower stakes, but a one story arc
ongoing
across,
thing,
or maybe two across, and maybe they tie up, like one 4-part story arc, and then a second story arc, and then it all kind of actually ties together at the end. I think that'd be intriguing. I know Doctor Who is always wedded to this anthology sort of series it is, but it's also a story that's been not afraid to experiment over the years too, and I think that would be an interesting
RT1
experiment.
and Moffat and Chibnall, they all did that. So yeah,
Presumably, the War Between the Land and the Sea will be on Disney Plus.
Probably.
And given what we saw with the release schedule of Doctor Who, do you think this is something they're going to dump all 5 episodes at once, or are we going to get it staggered?
I would bet it's 5 at once. Disney Plus, they don't do that anywhere near as much.
I think that might, just to go back to your earlier thing, Stephen, I think that might depend upon how the 5 episodes are structured.
Yeah.
If it is a single arc, then I can see all 5 getting released at once.
I don't know.
Also,
if you're,
go ahead.
But if the point of this, or a part of the point of this as a spinoff, is to bridge the gap between, say, season 2, season 3, then from a scheduling perspective, you would expect maybe 1 and 2 will drop, and then a week between 3, 4, 5.
Also,
but yeah, I don't know.
it depends on where it comes from too, because like if the BBC is going to be running it a week at a time, they're probably not going to drop it all at once, right? So why would Disney do that?
Yeah.
Just like I guess The Bear came out all at once because it's Hulu.
Yeah.
And that's all on Disney Plus at once, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was.
But that's because it's from Hulu, right? So
Yes.
a lot of stuff Disney's originating itself is not like that. So
For the longest time, it seemed it was basically the domain of BBC Three programming that it would happen, but the BBC has no shortage of shows that dropped everything on iPlayer.
I'll take your word for it.
When
All right.
episode 1 of the thing was broadcast on maybe a weekly basis. BBC One content, there's been a lot, in the last couple of years, there's been a lot more BBC One stuff that drops everything on iPlayer day one, and then just still broadcasts it weekly for terrestrial.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, something like Land and Sea, I'm happy to have it all 5 at once. Like it's nothing I want to spread out over 5 weeks.
As a
But if it sucks, just
podcaster,
give it to
I'm
me at
gonna
once.
As a
say
podcast, we
no.
learn the hard way from Children of Earth that we don't want
Well,
that.
yeah, that's okay, fair. But I mean, as a viewer, just give it to me all at once.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know. What it'll be interesting. Be interesting to see how they dole that out. I mean, they're probably not going to be wedded to Saturdays. It probably if it's going to be on Disney Plus, they might chop it out on a Thursday.
That seems
or
like a
something.
Wednesday kind of a deal.
It does. It's just a Wednesday show. What are you feeling about this one? Yeah, maybe Wednesday, maybe a Thursday.
It can compete with whatever Star Wars thing they trot out. R2D2.
Sea Devil Sunday.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw a kid who couldn't have been 20,
Sunday.
and he's wearing a Star Wars Droids T-shirt, and I was like, "Wow, that kid has no idea." And I told him it was a great shirt. Like I didn't tell him why I thought it was a great shirt because I was probably a little younger than him when I saw it originally.
Anyway, one last fluid link. Completely unrelated to that last topic, but related to a previous one. Jeremy Bimman asks on Facebook, with K9's head and handles in the memory TARDIS,
Yeah, I like it already.
which other heads and or body parts would you like to see found there?
Davros. Just yelling up a storm, but he's in a glass case so you can't hear him. So he's just yelling and yelling and yelling. And they're like, yeah, keep talking,
Revelation
buddy.
at the Daleks Davros.
Exactly.
Are we gonna allow like organic creatures?
I'm gonna
Like
Why not?
if we wanted the head of a tetrap in there, is that allowed?
yeah, you could do
The
that.
brain of Morbius.
I think it would be kind of cool if he had the head of a tetrap as a security cam and it had like different, 4 cameras in each of its eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All 4 directions covered at once.
Yeah. Chameleon obviously has got to be hanging in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe he already is, and he's disguised as something else. I don't know, but
Morbius's brain is bubbling right there next to it,
yeah,
next to the doctor's hand.
that's a tiny set. If you looked at that Bonnie Langford set tour with Scott Hancock on YouTube, that thing is tiny.
It's not a tour; it's more of a hand wave.
Oh my God, it's so small. It has to be small for the sake of the the drama. But oh boy, they cram a lot in there. So. Like, don't think you're going to put the K1 robot in there. You're not going to put a K1 giant robot from the robot.
You could put his head in there, though.
You could put his head in there, I suppose. Maybe a clamp, his hand, little big clampy there.
Oh, a robot of death head. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
Like the eyes going all
no,
red, but he can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And maybe a robot of death hand, so you can't throw.
So the doctor can just throw a hand at somebody every once in a while.
Please do not.
It's too bad war machines don't have heads.
That's true. Yeah. Because
Mondasian Cyberman and his head's getting a little stinky because there's a brain in there right away.
gross. See, maybe a
You will give me my body back.
pain, or the
Or in the wake of season 1, how about the head of Sutek survived the time tunnel, and that's in there.
just the
No,
mask.
the mask of Sutek.
Yeah,
just
the actual
mask,
proper
yeah.
mask, the best part of it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would like to see that in there.
How about Meglos the cactus? He's just sitting there in the back.
just a cat, just like a little thing you get like for $2 at the in
Succulent Sunday.
yeah.
They shrink down the dodecahedron. It's actually just it. In fact, That's the Rogue D&D dice. Those are all dodecahedrons from Meglos.
Listen, I have the desk right there. I have a dodecahedron on the desk because of Meglos. AKA.
Do you have a dodecahedron or do you have a D12?
It's a D12, but Erica said, I'm going to get you a die. Which one do you want? And I want a yellow D12 because yellow is my favorite color, and D12 because thanks
Meglos.
be to Ty. So obviously that's there. So that's why I have it there.
You didn't want a gold one? I guess yellow's kind of close to gold.
Yellow. Yeah, I love yellow. Yellow's always my favorite color. It's the color of the Lego people, don't you know?
Good point.
And the sun.
And the sun, I know because I look at it every day, and then I hurt for some reason. I can't see anything after for a while.
Well, clearly you're not Superman, powered by the yellow sun.
That's true.
There should be a Dalek dome in there.
A Dalek dome, or an eye stalk at the very least, which kind of looks like a fluid link.
Because an eye stalk you can just mount on the wall, right? So takes up less room.
Also, another good security camera, I suppose.
Potentially, yep.
I mean, there already is a clockwork droid mask in there, so you don't have to put that in there. There's lots of. I mean, there's a lot of space, but there's a lot of stuff that you could put in there, I think, and still have it. I mean,
one of those heads from The Beast Below. It keeps flipping around back and forth.
Oh God, that'd be scary.
Yeah, of course.
It'd be terrifying. It'd be awful. It'd be staring at you too. I mean,
so would Davros bubbling away. I mean, come on.
The Smilers.
Yeah, the Smilers. Exactly. Yeah.
Smilers in there too. I'm just kind of upset that they mounted poor rabid K9 and his head on there.
But the Hath bubbling away too. If
the
you have like
bubbling.
A gallery of bubbles, basically you're gonna have the Futurama heads.
You could probably, you could have like a fish tank, and it would just be a Hath mask in there. You know, you could have that,
especially with the mention of Mescaline in there in the episode.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, they did get a mention too. Oh, the Hath are coming back. Quite clearly, the Hath are coming back. So
it's the Hath agenda.
It is the Hath agenda. All right. Well, we've chewed on that one, and we've had some fun playing Fluid Links. Yeah, we did. We had fun. I hope you did too.
Like I said, the best thing is like any good Fluid Links, we solved
nothing.
Nothing at all.
Blabbed about it extensively.
Nothing has been solved. To recap, War Between the Land and the Sea, being made by Dylan Holmes Williams, produced by another person whose name I already forgot.
Eduardo
Ferretti. Is that his name?
Not Marco Camargo, which I will forever want to happen. Shooting
in September. And we discussed a whole bunch of Doctor Who as well in this thing. A couple things before we get the hell out of here. Doctor Who Season 1 is coming to Blu-ray on August 12th in the UK only. The nice steelbook with basically all the extras are the stuff that we've already seen on YouTube. Like Unleashed is there too, though. So I suppose if you want an actual proper way to watch Doctor Who Unleashed, well, this is your chance.
Somebody out there is like, I like following rules. I'm doing it.
Yep. Even including the Envision commentators too. Yeah.
To a very large degree, most of the stuff that's on here is already on YouTube.
Yeah, and stuff. So, but hey, if you want to have it on your shelf, and I know I will once it's finally ready for purchase in 2026 in this country. But
I'll say that despite it being a shorter run of only 8 episodes, well, I guess 9 because Church on Ruby Road is on here.
Yeah.
Having it across 7 discs, I mean, like they're using that space.
They're true.
Definitely using that space.
Yeah, some of the Jodie Whittaker
they'll be 4K,
stuff,
I would assume.
Yeah, some of the Jodie Whittaker ones are all across 3 discs. 3 discs for 10, 11 episodes.
Or if you think back to those, to that super cheap, crappy DVD release where like all of Tenet is on 3 discs or something.
Oh, wow.
Three DVDs, which has a lot less space than Blu-rays.
You could probably see all the pixelated
or whatever number it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good deal. Well, hopefully it's a good deal. We don't know because it's not out in North America because Disney Plus doesn't do things that way. So, enjoy your physical media release, UK.
I mean, with any luck, it's region free.
That's
with any luck the motto of the DVD enthusiast in Canada and the States, but mostly Canada.
True. August 12th. Big Finish, the next War Master thing with Derek Jacobi, Radio Free Skaro guest Derek Jacobi.
For about 10 minutes, but yes.
Yeah, the War Master Future Phantoms, that's coming out in November. Also some raw business industry news. Marvel Studios is heading back to Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con. Of course, last year with the writer strikes and other things, nobody went to Comic-Con in terms of...
And they've got one movie this year, so yeah.
Yeah.
But they're gonna presumably have a whole lot more next year. So.
Well, the weird thing is that they've got, like, the movie that's out is the whatchamacallit, the Brian
Deadpool
Reynolds
Wolverine,
thing, the Deadpool thing, and it's being released that weekend, so they're not there plugging that. But
so it's got to be future stuff, TV and film.
But it's just interesting because, you know, obviously Marvel is owned by Disney, and Disney airs Doctor Who, and so we'll keep. I still think it's just that the timing doesn't make sense for Doctor Who to have anything there, given there's Christmas, and I'm sure that Ncuti Gatwa, after filming Doctor Who for 2 years straight, pretty much doesn't want to like go to Comic-Con now to do this too. So I feel like this is the time off for them. But
Marvel-wise, the behind the scenes of this that they'll never cop to is that Jonathan Majors got charged with a pretty hideous crime and is not going to be working with them anymore. And he was the linchpin of all these. So this is going to be, here's our new roadmap. And it's surprisingly Majors free, which they'll never say, but that's what they're doing. And they've probably been cooking this up for months and months and months and trying to figure out how to fix it.
Oh, yeah.
If they are in fact fixing it, and this will be their new blueprint, presumably, right?
Yeah, so Kevin Feige will be standing in front of another giant whiteboard of logos and temporary release dates and all that.
And in his back pocket, you can't see, but he's got a pistol ready to shoot any problematic actor he sees. Like, any one of you MFers, so much as move.
Get this.
The quote from Pulp Fiction, basically.
Right. Yeah.
I'm the link of the show notes is to Deadline. The photo at the top of the thing is like, oh, left to right, here are other people. Karen Gillan's right there, and not even mentioned in the thing below. Tom Clementieff, who is completely hidden, is
true.
mentioned. Like, that's just lazy.
Slave. Chris is
well, somebody in the media. Here's what happens: you get this stuff. You probably have to write it in 10 minutes. You know, maybe it ain't the person who's a Marvel fan. I'm not excusing it, but I've been in situations like it. Let me put it that way.
Still done though. Links to the show notes, so you can pick apart the photo caption in question. One last thing, not Doctor Who related, but it is Star Wars related, and it's kind of cool. There is an official Lucasfilm produced dub, an Ojibwe. Coming for the first Star Wars film, Star Wars: A New Hope. It's coming out on August 8th, being screened. It's going to be coming to Disney Plus later as well. Full on, like actual proper. They worked with Ojibwe actors in Winnipeg here in Canada, and it looks really cool. They had a trailer for it. I just think this is such a great idea.
It's great. Yeah, and it's premiering in this big concert hall in Manitoba. Winnipeg has a very big Indigenous population, so this is great. This is really cool. And I think that's actually where APTN is headquartered too.
They are.
So there's that.
APTN,
it's just like
Aboriginal People's TV Network is what
you haven't seen Prey, Stephen. And it was shot in English, but they did a dub in Comanche, I think is the language.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard about that.
And the whole thing is set in the 1700s, so it's Comanches versus a predator. And it's actually really good because it pares it down to the basics, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to watch it, watch the dubbed version. I hardly ever say that, but this time I'm saying it.
Oh,
it works way better that way.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That is cool.
And Chris will back me up on that, I think.
Yeah. On the Prey thing, yeah. It's just, it's neat. It's great. I love seeing this. I mean, you know, when I was growing up, Indigenous languages were like dying languages, let's face it. And this country has sort of like had a bit of a reckoning in the past few years about Indigenous culture and colonialism and everything. And it's a neat way. I love that it's incorporating traditional languages into classic cinema, let's face it. And the great thing about Star Wars is it's the first film you could do whatever you want with it because there's slightly different ownership things to it. The amazing thing of if it was like an Ojibwe dub of the original version, like not
that'd be great.
Not the special edition.
Not the special edition.
Yeah, I also appreciate that the press release is in English and Ojibwe.
Absolutely it is. Yeah.
And just to shoehorn hockey in here, for once it's me doing that.
Here we go.
The Punjabi broadcast of Hockey Night in Canada is super popular from what I've led to hear.
It is, yeah. Every Saturday night there's a Punjabi language broadcast, and I think they've done some Cree language ones as well in the past as well. I don't think it's a regular thing, but APTN I think actually might do that
more
regularly.
Of this.
Yeah, so
do more of this for people who wouldn't normally get this kind of stuff. People.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah.
Chop, chop. Get on it.
Not a thing that well, I was going to say not a thing that the English people need to worry about. Actually, yeah, it's because we're here because of English people. Let's face it. So
yeah, we're the cause of this when you go far back enough. So yeah.
Exactly.
Just doing a quick Google search, and I guess a few years ago, April 2021, Hockey Night in Canada was broadcast in Cantonese, Mandarin, Hindi, Vietnamese, Tagalog, German, and Arabic.
That makes sense.
Good. And I didn't mean cause of it as in we should be celebrating. I mean, we caused all these problems to begin with of the language being obscured. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's cool. Cool thing.
All I can say is yay Canada.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yay Canada on this Canada Day week for your favorite Canadian Doctor Who podcast. Possibly the only one that is fully Canadian. And still going. Anyway, next, hey, it's July now coming up. We'll have some episodes coming up. Warren's going to be off at Worldcon at some point, but we've got stories for years, kids. Don't worry. We've got stuff
Steven,
coming down.
You'll be in Wisconsin
Wisconsin at some point too.
At some point.
Yep. So, but we got stuff.
I will be here.
You'll be here. Chris will be holding down the fort in Alberta.
But
we got some interesting stuff coming that hasn't yet been recorded, so I'm not going to tell you about it until it's actually in the can. But next week we should have something fun, and the week after that, and indeed the week after that. And then we'll have Comic-Con, and there might be stuff there that's happening, and maybe not. But either way, we'll fill the time
Marvel
for
just
you.
announces they're giving up. We're done.
That's it. We're done. We'll fold the franchise.
Massive tax break. We don't care anymore.
Yep. Anyway, until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.